Our third presenter is about food processing and supply chain management. So Mr. Charlie Khompatraporn, please.
All right, so I hope I wouldn't go that fast. So good afternoon, everyone, and let's talk about how Thailand has performed in terms of food production and food processing, and as well as supply chain management. All right, so let's talk about certain statistics. During the last year, Thailand has produced over 39 million tons of food, and that's about 55% was consumed domestically, about 40% were sent overseas for exporting. And let's look at some of the items that we export. Some of them are basic materials, raw materials for other processing, but some of them are already processed, such as canned tuna, cassava starch, canned pineapple, food flavors, and also sauces, as well as ready-to-eat meals. Then where do we send those food to? The top one is Japan, second one is China, the US, 6 countries in this Southeast Asia region, and as well as the UK. And we are ranked 12th in the world food exporter. However, that's only over 2% of the market share. So how could we do that? There are a lot of contributions from various players. So farmers, they are very good in adapting to new technologies and new ways of commercialization. The inexpensive labor, it used to be though, that we have rather low cost of labor, but right now we are losing that competitive edge to other neighboring countries. However, the laboring cost is still less expensive than some of the countries such as Japan, the UK, or the US. And also, since we have a big export market, we enjoy the economy of scale as well. So that drives the cost down. And the real sector, they are contributing a lot in terms of getting these goods to oversee, getting these foods processed. We have 2 large food processing companies in Thailand, and they are doing very well. They now expanding to overseas. And I think one of the key model that is rather unique is that they collaborate with the universities in Thailand. For example, our university, we work with both of the companies, these large companies, and students are, once they graduate, they work with these companies, and all the projects that we have mostly came from these real sectors. And also government also contribute to variety of intervention. For example, we have a bank for agriculture and agricultural cooperatives. We have a Department of Rice within the Ministry of Agriculture. We have another funding agency, which is called Agriculture Research and Development Agency, which give fundings to any projects relating to crops and agriculture. So those interventions have contributed to a lot of success in Thailand food production and food processing. What's next? Those are what we have done. So what's the next phase of supply chain in Thailand, at least? Thailand is progressively becoming an aging society. Last week, there's a news that the government is trying to pass a law allowing the government officials to retire at the age of 70. So that's how severe it is. And urban migration I think it happens everywhere. So that adds the complexity to the supply chain in the future. That's gonna change. It used to be that I've never heard of food delivery besides pizza, and now it's becoming very common in the city. I know that Food Panda, you have Food Panda here to deliver food. It's happening in Thailand as well, and there are 3 companies doing the same thing. So urban migration would add complexity to delivering food, processing food, and everything else as well. And also climate change have changed the way that we have to grow our crops, vegetables, seed, grains. And we need rather technology-driven kind of knowledge and techniques so that we can cope with this change in the climate changing environment. Also, new business paradigm that needs to be changed. New generation would not like to be farmers. So how can we cope with those situations? And farming is no longer sexy, so how can we make it even better, right? But we do have technologies, this disruptive technology. I think they can be adopted wisely and they can be our friends instead of our foes. For example, 5G technology with a lot of transferring rate, a lot of capability of those kind of things. We perhaps can monitor remotely our crops that would keep our costs down. Instead of sending people to monitor the crops, might as well using this imaging technology with the 5G technology, monitoring and controlling remotely our crops. So that would drive the cost down. Using AI, data analytics, and machine learning, we can also analyze the behavior of the consumers. With that in mind, with those kind of data, then we can match the demand with the supply so that we don't overproduce our food in the future. We just plan it ahead and then match those together. Using the internet technology and mobile application, we can also match the demand and supply in the remote area with the demand in the cities so that we don't waste our food. And also within the inner city limit, we can also match the access food from, let's say, hotels or bakery shops with those in the city that needs these foods. So we can match the supply and demand with very little, kind of simple applications. There's a movement in Thailand that's trying to resolve this kind of food. We produce a lot of food, but yet we have hungry people around. So drone technology is another way of driving the cost down in terms of taking care of the crops and those livestock even to monitor the condition and then predict what's the yield, right? And lastly, I think when we look into the future, these may be where to concentrate. We need smart, sustainable technologies and automation. With aging society, there wouldn't be any people working around. There would be a shortage of labor, so automation would be a key. I think it's the worldwide competition that you need to move toward automation. It has a lot of investment up front, but with the right intervention, I think, from the government, we can proceed with that. Being smart doesn't mean being expensive. So how can we introduce technology that maybe need a little bit of electricity in the remote area? There wouldn't be any electricity sitting around. So what we can do is, in our university, that is, we develop pico generator that would use not a lot of water, just small stream of water, and then generate enough electricity so that making the farming and the smart farming system works. And also, high value added and knowledge-driven products. For example, functional food and GI products. If you are competing in the commodity market, you can only compete with the price. But with more knowledge-driven, you move away from the red ocean to other oceans. So to keep that in mind, that it takes a lot of effort, but yet with the right effort and intervention, you can do that. And the third one is the service and share value. That would mean services like Food Panda and everything else that would come out and also help the food supply chain, food production, food processing. There will be a lot of service. You cannot just be specialized in everything. So you have to hire these people to do those jobs for you. And the last one is to build capability of the people, and as well as entrepreneurial ecosystem to nurture and promote these entrepreneurial entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs in particular, so that they have this mindset and help in the long run of the ecosystem and the system of farming in your country. So thank you very much.